Hi everybody, it's Wizard. I want to talk to you all about Inauguration Day. This day has some really cool facts and I wanted to share some of those with you. So the inauguration of the President of the United States is a ceremony that marks the beginning of a new term for the President. The inauguration ceremony takes place for each new presidential term, even if the President is continuing in office for a second term. And since the year 1937, this has taken place at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time on January 20th, which is the first day of the new term. And this all happened except for 4 occasions when January 20th fell on a Sunday. For Woodrow Wilson in 1917, Dwight Eisenhower in 1957, Ronald Reagan in 1985, and Barack Obama in 2013. In all 4 of those years, those presidents took the oath of office on a Sunday privately, and then again in a public ceremony the next day, which is a Monday, January 21st. The 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution was adopted on January 20th, 1933. It changed the beginning of the terms of the President and Vice President, which used to be March 4th, to January 20th. And that states in Section 1, the terms of the President and Vice President shall end at noon on the 20th day of January. The inauguration of the Vice President is in the same ceremony as that of the President, and the oath is administered to the Vice President first, and then the President. The Vice Presidential oath is not stated by the Constitution, but the current form, which is also recited by senators, representatives, and other government officers, has been in use since 1984. And that oath is, I do solemnly swear, or affirm, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. The oath of office for the President of the United States is set in the Constitution in Article 2, Section 1, and that oath states, I do solemnly swear, or affirm, that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And although it is not officially part of the oath, George Washington, who was our first president, is credited with adding the line, so help me God, after the oath. And most presidents have also uttered this phrase at the end of their oaths. Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, however, ended his oath with, and thus I swear. And also, although it is not set in the Constitution, it has become a tradition to have the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court be the person who administers the oath to the President on Inauguration Day. Most inaugurations of the President since 1801 have been held in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol building. The first ones, however, were held at Federal Hall in New York City in 1789, and then at Congress Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1793 and 1797. Both of those cities were, at those times, the nation's capital. George Washington is the only president to have been inaugurated in 2 separate cities. His first inauguration in 1789 was in New York City, and his second in 1793 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And as we mentioned, those cities were the capital of the country at that time. James Monroe's inauguration was moved to a different building in Washington because there was ongoing restoration work at the Capitol building after the War of 1812. 3 other inaugurations, Franklin Roosevelt's 4th in 1945, Harry S. Truman's first one in 1945, and Gerald Ford's in 1974, were held at the White House. During the inauguration ceremony, there are 5 flags hung behind the people taking the oath. The current 50-star flag of the United States is displayed right in the center. On both sides of that are earlier versions of the national flag. The 2 flags right next to the current flag are the official flag that was adopted by Congress after the admission to the Union of the new president's home state. The 2 flags on the outsides are the 13-star flag, popularly known as the Betsy Ross flag. New presidents usually give a speech, which is called an Inaugural Address, and most presidents use this time to present their vision of America and set forth their goals for the nation. As with many inaugural customs, this was started by George Washington in 1789. Some fun facts about the Inaugural Address. William Henry Harrison delivered the longest one at 8,445 words in 1841. And John Adams' address in 1797 which totaled 2,308 words, contained the longest sentence, which was 737 words. In 1793, George Washington himself gave the shortest inaugural address, and that was just 135 words. Here are some fun facts about presidents and their inaugurations. Martin Van Buren was born on December 5, 1782 in Kinderhook, New York, and he was the first president to be born as a citizen of the United States. The United States declared independence from Great Britain in 1776, so all the presidents before Martin Van Buren were born as British subjects. Martin Van Buren was also the only president to speak English as a second language. His first language was Dutch. He came from a family of immigrants from the Netherlands. Grover Cleveland was both the 22nd and 24th president of the United States, and he is the only president in American history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms in office. His first was 1885 to 1889, and his second was 1893 to 1897. William H. Taft, who was president in 1909 to 1913, was the only president himself to become a person to administer the oath to another president. After he was president, he became the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and he administered the oath of office to Calvin Coolidge in 1925, and also to Herbert Hoover in 1929. Franklin Roosevelt was the only president to serve more than 2 terms. January 20th, 1945 saw the 4th inauguration of Roosevelt, and that was the first and only time a president was inaugurated for a 4th term. Not long after that, the 22nd Amendment declared a 2-term maximum. Harry S. Truman, who was the vice president for Franklin Roosevelt, became president after Roosevelt died, and his inauguration was on April 12, 1945, and it was the first inauguration ceremony to be shown on television. Many presidents in the past used to wear a top hat at their inauguration. John F. Kennedy, also known as JFK, was the last president to wear a top hat at his inauguration in 1961. Lyndon B. Johnson was the first and only president to be sworn in on an airplane. After JFK, John F. Kennedy was assassinated and killed, Lyndon Johnson took the oath of office on November 22, 1963, while he was aboard the airplane Air Force One. This inauguration ceremony was also interesting because the oath was administered by U.S. District Judge Sarah Hughes, who became the first and so far the only woman to inaugurate a president. Both of Ronald Reagan's inaugurations set weather records. His first, on January 20th, 1981, was the warmest inauguration day on record at that time, 55 degrees. 4 years later, January 21st, 1985, was the coldest inauguration day. It was only 7 degrees. Bill Clinton's second inauguration, which took place on January 20th, 1997, was the first ceremony to be streamed live on the internet. Thank you all so much for learning with me. I love sharing these facts with you. Hope you all have a great day.